carrier preacher. Because if I could preach like that, you'd all be scared to death. You wouldn't unlock your door and come to church. Because it might be happening. It might be the day. It might be the time. Because he said nobody knows when the time comes. Only my Father knows. And I'm not sure in my own mind that I'm confident that God has already determined when the time will be. I think he's just someday he's just going to get up in the morning and get tired of us and say, let's start over. Tried it once and it didn't work very well. He caused the flood and an ark and drowned everything on the world, and we didn't change our ways, those of us who came back. I'm not that old, no, I wasn't there at the time. But we have to be really, really careful that when we look, as he looked, at the temple and see what a beautiful place it was and how wonderfully decorated it was, and the images with respect to God, that we don't get caught up in those kinds of images. Let me tell you the story of the lawyer who bought a new $75,000 BMW. And he's driving down the street. He pulls over and he parks. He opens the car door and the semi came along and took the car door off. And he's standing there moaning and groaning, and the cop came to investigate the accident, and he said, look what that guy did, that SOB, that so-and-so. Look what he did to my BMW. And the cop said, that's the trouble with you lawyers. You're too materialistic. You're into things all the time. You're so interested in your BMW, you didn't notice that your left arm was gone. And the lawyer looked down and said, my Rolex! We have to be careful that we don't get hung up on stuff and on things. And sometimes we get really that way about the ministries we do. We want them to be perfect. We want them to be wonderful. We want them to be earth-shaking so that we get a lot of publicity. And that everybody notice that this church has something and that church has that, and we want to be noted for things. And what we ought to be is too busy to be noted. Too busy to stand up and proclaim our wonderfulness, but rather to live the sermons that God has placed in our lives. For every one of us walks around with a lifetime full of sermons to be lived. None to be preached, but many to be lived. I like a story that I heard many years ago about the fellow driving through a not too nice district in town with a pretty new red car, and all at once there's a bang, and he gets out and he looks, and there's a dent in his car. And he looks off to the side, and there's an urchin standing there with a stone in his hand. And he said, did you throw the stone? And he said, yes, I did. I had to get you to stop. Nobody will help me. My brother has fallen down and I can't get him up. So after the guy then helped him get his brother up, he said, you admire my car? You like my car? He said, oh, I love that car. He said, my brother gave it to me. And the little boy looked at it for a while and he said, you know what I wish? And the young man said, yeah, you wish you had a brother like that. He said, no, I wish I could be a brother like that. We're looking at what happens and not what we're doing. We look at results instead of activity. We don't want to spin our wheels doing things when there are missions to be performed. There are miracles to cause. You see, along with those sermons that God has put in your life for you to live, for those around you, He's also put in you the power to create miracles in people's lives. We sing, this is the day the Lord has made. When I open my prayer, I always thank God for this day, because when God created it, it is perfect. We mess it up. We butcher it some days. But God gives us tomorrow. Until that time, there is no more tomorrow. He gives us one more chance every day until there are no more days. That's the day that the stones will be laid down, one beside the other. He was predicting that the temple in Jerusalem would be totally destroyed, and it was. Less than 100 years after he was born. The Romans came and tore it down piece by piece. No stone stood on another stone, just as he had said it would. And the people at that time, and even Paul, even the apostles said, this means the end of the world is coming right now. And here we are 2,000 years later trying to say, and it's just about here. When you're born, you begin to die. You have a limited number of days, and each day you use one up. Did you use yesterday well? How about Wednesday? Did you use 24 hours of God's gift to the best of your ability? Or did you do like I did? Played a really bad round of golf. But that was my mission. I played so badly, I made the three guys I was playing with think they were professionals. My miracle for them. You see, it isn't the earth-shaking events that God cares about. He does those. I mean, he knocks those out in an afternoon, but no problem at all. But every time we have a chance to bring a smile to someone's face, to touch a life that seems hopeless and desperate, then we have created that miracle that God put us here to do. And maybe our miracle is that we get to smile back at someone so their miracle seems real. You owe it to the people around you to love them enough to listen, to love them enough to care, to love them enough to let them touch your life so that in turn you can touch theirs. See, no miracle ever happens just to one person. Because if you're involved, it happens to you. If you're involved, it happens to those around you. Yeah? I wish I could be a brother like that. Ought that not be our mantra? Let me be a brother like I ought to be. Let me be what God wants me to be. Let me be somebody's miracle today. Let my life be the sermon that someone needs to see. Sermons are a lot better seen than they are heard. Let me be the one. And if we listen, if we strive, if we work at it, He will let us be the one with the miracle to give and to share. He will give us more love than we can dispense. And we ought to try to see if we can't outdo Him and love more than He expects. Love your friends. Love your enemies. Love those around you. Be a miracle. Feels good. Amen. We're closing this morning with "This is a day of new beginning." Well, isn't that appropriate here? Would you stand with me if you can? 383.